We get the question, why do we need to use a company like Virtuzone to set up?
Yeah. How do I make a decision which way to go, what jurisdiction to choose, based on what?
But with most of the options you can do large parts or almost all of the process remotely.
What do I want to do? Why am I getting an e-commerce license, or why am I getting a business license?
Generally with a free zone, if you're working with yourself, it's quite easy to set up a free zone company.
Welcome to Power Your E-commerce Business, the go-to series for busy entrepreneurs like you. Product research, sales, marketing, branding, shipping and logistics. We share knowledge and information every week from top experts serving the MENA region to help you power your e-commerce business. The first part of starting your entrepreneurial journey right here in the UAE is setting up your business legally. Now that can be very complicated, to be quite honest, and quite mysterious. That's why for this video of Power Your E-commerce Journey, I'm here with the experts at Virtuzone talking about how you should go step by step through the thought process and the actual process of setting up your business right here in the UAE. Let's get started.
So Gary, why do I need to have a business license if I wanted to start my e-commerce journey in the UAE?
Okay, when you're setting up a company in the UAE, it's to generate income. So in the UAE, you cannot earn unless you're an employee or you have your own company. So if you generate revenue in the UAE, it's illegal to generate it in your personal capacity. And often we get the question, why do we need to use a company like Virtuzone to set up?
Yeah.
It's because it's a bit of a minefield setting up your own company. A word you'll hear me referring to quite often is jurisdiction. A jurisdiction is a legal area where you can set up your company. So in the UAE, you've actually got 60 different or over 60 different choices where you can set up your company. I often say it's similar to states in America.
Yeah.
In America, there's federal law, which governs all the states, and then there's state law, which governs the actual physical area of the state. Free zones and other jurisdictions in the UAE are like that too. They're governed by federal law, but they have their own rules, regulations, pricings, procedures when you're setting your business up. So it's good to have an independent consultant who can give you the advantages and disadvantages of all the options.
So the thought process should start from where? How do I make a decision which way to go, what jurisdiction to choose, based on what? Based on price, based on what do you think?
Well, I actually look at it a different way. The way that you really assess it is you tell me, or you think about, what do you want to do? What is your business activity going to be? Because different business activities are better suited to different jurisdictions. So what I do when I meet with a client is I find out what they want to do, where they want to do it, what the requirements are, and then ultimately you're led to which jurisdiction is most suitable, rather than what often happens, picking a jurisdiction first and then it not being the most suitable place for you to run your business.
So it starts basically with the question, what do I want to do? Why am I getting an e-commerce license, or why am I getting a business license? So it starts mainly with, what do I want out of my business? And then it goes, that's how the thought process, or that's how you should start as an entrepreneur when you're thinking of registering a license.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the basic premise of your business plan. What's the service that you're going to offer? Who are you going to offer it to? What's your key offering? So for most of the clients that you deal with on a daily basis, it's going to be selling a product and selling that product on Amazon, selling it online. So e-commerce would be the most suitable platform for most of the clients that you deal with, and that will most of the time that will be suitable from a free zone, or alternatively it may be suitable from mainland as well if you want to expand your business in the future.
Okay. So now that you know exactly what you want to do, what are the steps after you decide exactly the type of business that you want and what you intend to do? What are the steps whenever anybody contacts Virtuzone?
Okay, so I think it's best if we use an example.
Yeah.
So you have a client who wants to sell clothing on Amazon. Initially, they don't need their own warehouse; they'll use Amazon. They have their own visa already, so they don't need a visa under the company. And their target market is going to be online only. They, for example, don't think in the future that they're going to require to have any employees under the company. It's always going to be something that they do as a side business. Okay, so based on that example, there's no real requirements in terms of location. So there's no real compelling reason why it needs to be Dubai or why it needs to be Fujairah or why it needs to be Ras Al Khaimah. As you don't need any visas, again, you don't need to look at jurisdictions where you can have lots of visas under the company, or you can have space because you want to run this completely remotely. So what we do is we identify the appropriate jurisdiction at this point, and for this example, you can choose virtually any free zone in the UAE. So then it comes down to price, and it comes down to timeline, and it comes down to service offering. So we discuss 3-4 options with a client, identify the pros and the cons of each, and ultimately the client will choose a jurisdiction that suits them, that suits their price range, and then we can get the process started. And generally with a free zone, if you're working with ourselves, it's quite easy to set up a free zone company. There's standard documents that most of the free zones want. Some have additional requirements, some don't, but you need your basic identification documents, your visa, your Emirates ID, or if you've never been in the country before, your tourist visa, your passport copy. Some free zones will ask for a business plan, some free zones will ask for a CV, some will ask for a description of what you're going to do. So we can guide you through the requirements for that specific free zone that we've chosen as the appropriate jurisdiction for you.
Perfect. Now, if somebody is currently employed in the UAE,
yes,
however, they just want to shift their, whole future and they want to be their own boss. So they want to actually get a visa and all of that. So what are the options for that? Is it the same process? Is it the same procedure?
Yeah, it's very similar. So to get a visa, you must have a company first. So if you're going to need 1 visa or 5 visas or 6 visas, that's all relevant to picking the appropriate jurisdiction. Most free zones will comfortably accommodate 2 visas without you having to subscribe to a substantial office offering. Some free zones can offer higher, some free zones don't. So it really depends on the number of your visa requirements. But for your specific example, we only need 1 visa. They can set up the company without an NOC, which is a no objection certificate, in some of the jurisdictions that we would recommend. And it means that before they even cancel their current visa, they can have the new company set up so that when they cancel their existing visa, they can immediately switch over to make it as seamless as possible.
Before we continue with the video, if this is your first time watching a video on this channel, hi, my name is Crystal and I'm the founder of Amazon Sellers Society, and we help brands, businesses and entrepreneurs sell their products successfully on Amazon in the Middle East. If you want to know more about our services, our courses and our membership, all you need to do is go to our website, www.assmiddleeast.org. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comments section below. So Gary, now that we've talked about everything related to setting up a company, what comes next? Because, there is a big, it's not a myth, but maybe
I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. About opening a corporate bank account. It is quite difficult for somebody who sets up their own free zone company. So what do you think about that, and how can we get that done easier?
Yeah, well, the banking process has always had a bad reputation in the UAE. There's lots of hoops to jump through. It can be quite difficult. It can take a long time, and there's no urgency from the person that you're speaking to at first instance. Yeah. They don't realize that you can't operate a business without your bank account, and it's the most important thing to you. Yeah. But the key piece of advice I would give you is get a visa first. Do not try and open a bank account without a visa, as you will find it almost impossible. And one good thing that has come out of COVID is that there are a number of neobanks that have opened.
Yeah.
And they're very, very favourable to free zones. So you can actually apply for a bank account online, you can upload all your documents, and then the compliance team will contact you within 2 or 3 days. And sometimes it can take 3-4 weeks to actually get to the compliance team if you're speaking to an advisor. So having these neobanks is fantastic. So banking isn't as scary as it used to be.
Yeah.
You can open a bank account for most free zone companies without any real difficulty. But we can assess the risk factors, and the risk factors are your activity, your nationality, and whether you have an office or you don't have an office. Those are the 3 key points for banking.
Okay. What additional services does Virtuzone offer for someone who's, starting off their business? Because I know you have lots of services, but related to, e-commerce and selling on Amazon, what do you think we should be talking about?
Yeah, so
VAT registration maybe.
Yeah, we can be as involved or as uninvolved as you want after the company is set up. We can register your company for VAT. We can help you with accounting services. We can help you with marketing. We can also offer a service called Virtuzone, which allows you to be set up with a UAE phone number.
Yes, I know that. Yeah.
Which is very, very important because sometimes you require a 0 phone number.
Yes.
For certain things, and as a Virtuzone customer, we can accommodate that for you. We can also help you set up a website if you want to branch out on your own. We have lots of supplementary services, and if we don't offer it, we generally have a partner who does, because we set up so many companies every month. We set up hundreds. We've set up over 20,000 companies now. We have partners that offer us preferential discounts to all of our clients. So if you need a lawyer or you need an accountant and you don't want to use our accounting services, then we have a list of people who will offer discounts to Virtuzone clients. We have a very, very good network, and we can help you from start to finish.
Perfect. So Gary, any tips for anybody who's thinking of starting their own, especially online business?
I think my tip would be, don't be afraid to go and do it. There's so many positives at the moment. It's never been more cost effective to set up a business. E-commerce has never been in such a boom as it is at the moment in the UAE. And having companies like Amazon Seller Society out there to assist you, you can spend as much or as little time on the business as you want. You can have help from start to finish, or you can have help with starts of the process. But the benefit of working with companies like yourself and companies like Amazon Seller Society is they take the time burden away from it. They make it easier. You can set the company up, and then you can get on with making money and on with operating the business, rather than having to focus on the admin. Because that really can be a drag. If you plan something's going to take 2 hours, inevitably it will take 4. It always happens. So don't be afraid to have help, and don't be afraid to give it a go. And you will make mistakes, but you will learn from the mistakes.